Hello everybody, it's Reagan here, and I just want to pop in with a brief message of encouragement. I know it's been a while, a little bit, since I've posted anything, but I've really just been taking it all in and pondering and feeling it out and enjoying the ride of the mass awakening, which is truly what it is. It's the greatest story ever told. And it's only the beginning. I think we got through one of the more rougher patches of it. As far as that period of time, kind of for the past, I would say 2 or 3 weeks, where there's been all these energetic shifts and all the spiritual people can just feel it and we all know it, and all of human beings are being activated right now collectively. And yet all the tangible evidence and proof is just sort of suspended. We're just in this suspense. We can feel it. We can feel something's happening. And everyone's reacting. And everyone's all, shadow boxing with their own projections. And there's not really been a whole lot of actual disclosure. Luckily, we have some real psychics and mediums. I think those have been the most helpful source to me, aside from my own heart and my own channelings, because that's really the time we're going into. When the matrix is becoming unplugged, it's hard to get information from the matrix about the matrix. The information comes from God, from your higher self, from source energy. That is what we are remembering as we activate. We have all the information we need within, always. We've just forgotten for a very long time. But now we're starting to see things be disclosed, and that's exciting. That's a whole new part of this ride, of this event that has been going on for so long, not just since the pandemic, but it's been going on for a long time. Human beings are ascending into the 5th dimension. When the Mayans said 2012 was going to be a huge, gate opener, they knew what they were talking about. And we all knew that something was new, but as far as experiencing it, it's a totally different story, and it's full of all kinds of surprises, which makes it fun. So I think that's kind of a lot of what we have been experiencing, is learning how to intuit, to genuinely channel again, and share these messages with our fellow humanity who is so hungry for the truth. We are seeing a grand awakening. I mean, it's truly the greatest thing I could even think of. I'm so grateful to be here and experience it. We all came here to experience this right now, so it's very exciting. And I just want to, give out a few things that I've been pondering and doing and thinking that have been helping me to continue to evolve and go into this higher ascension timeline. It's really hard to use words for some of these things, so please don't get too hung up on the literal translation and just feel what I'm saying. It's concerning this whole event, because that is what I do want to talk about today in this video. Some things that have been helping me is a few different concepts, I guess you could say. Is one, understanding what's happening as best as you can. And really understanding, all you have to understand is the dark plan. We know what the cabal is trying to do, what the elitists are trying to do, what the draconian, whatever you want to call them, are trying to do. Trying to manipulate us into this fake hologram. It's a fake matrix. It's really what it is. The Matrix was a documentary more than it was anything. It's all this mind control through so many generations, hundreds of thousands of years of manipulation to get to this point It's taken them this long to try to get to this point and try to take over this planet completely. They've been doing a good job so far. None of this is new. The New World Order has already been, in a sense. Now is just when they were going to totally take back that domination, I guess you could say. However, it just simply cannot be. It simply cannot be. There's so many reasons it cannot be. And that's important to understand as well, because that's how you can integrate. That's an important part of understanding the dark plan, is integrating it mentally and emotionally, so that when you think about it, it doesn't cause you fear. It doesn't cause you anger. It doesn't cause you sadness. It doesn't overtake you emotionally when you think about it. And I know that's hard, and it takes time sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with experiencing those emotions. That's actually really good clearing work too. Don't suppress those emotions. Experience them and release them. Transform them with unconditional love, which is who you really are. It's who we all really are. When you understand the dark plan, it empowers you to continue to shine a light on it. And that's really what we're doing. That plan has already destroyed itself, because the grounds that it was built on were never meant to hold it. They were never meant to hold it, because it just can't work. And I'll get more into that in a minute. As far as, cosmic law goes, divine law, whatever you want to call it, universal laws, what they were trying to make simply cannot be. They can't really create a separate reality like that. You can for a small period of time, and maybe it seems like it has been a long time. To us, it seems like a long time. In higher dimensions, it hasn't really been that long, as far as time goes. But nonetheless, that's the first point I want to make. I think it is important. Some of it is really dark, and it's really hard to look at. But when you keep that balance in your heart, and you keep, the light is always so much more powerful than the dark. And in this realm of duality, the dark is merely a catalyst to continue to expand that higher force of love. It's a crazy happening. We're seeing so many different things coming out of this that make it all worth it. This really is like a collective dark night of the soul, and everyone's shadow boxing with their projections and with each other and each other's projections. But it's all part of the process as we detox from this mind control, this energy control, this vibrational control that's been going on the planet. And that's really, at the end of the day, what it is. It was vibrational control. And another thing that I think is really important is to understand that you have sovereignty. Take your sovereignty. Reclaim your sovereignty. And if you haven't already, reclaim your sovereignty, and do it again and again and again, because we are sovereign. And what I mean by that is we are free. We have free will to create the experience we want. There is a divine algorithm within our DNA that we are creators. Just as we were created, we create infinitely. We are creators. We are learning a lot when it comes to creation. And, the whole reason that this world has been in a nightmare of sorts, we were creating it. However, we were being manipulated to create it. And there's a lot to say about this topic. I'm really trying to sum it up in the easiest words I can find. But when it comes to these darker beings, these darker forces, this lower ignorant consciousness, it's just parasitic in nature. It's not powerful. It is a parasite. And so it has to have hosts to draw energy from. And that's really what has been happening, is our creative abilities have been hijacked unwittingly to us to create perpetual war and sickness and corruption and all of this crazy, 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 crazy stuff of the craziest possible degree possible. So what I'm trying to say there is that those darker beings still need you to consent for their whole agenda to even work, because they're parasites. And that's why they're master manipulators and infiltrators. That's all they have is manipulation and infiltration. That's why they use all those symbols. That's why they use all these words. They use all these certain laws. They use spells. They use these things because they have power and they understand occultism, whereas most people don't. And that's another reason why they're in a catch-22 right now. People are waking up. People are starting to look at the symbols and understand the symbols, and they're starting to realize they've been participating in these rituals that they would not have wanted to participate in, but they were manipulated to. And I'm talking about all this stuff. Even just watching some movies sometimes, it's like they're telling you exactly what they're doing to you. And in their mind, because they're psychopaths, if they can manipulate you, you deserve it because, you're weak or something like that. That's how they think. That's just how they think. And it's important to understand that. Because again, if you understand that, then you're empowered to not consent anymore. And that's exactly this catch-22 I'm talking about. They have to tell you what they're doing. That's why they do all that symbolism stuff. They have to tell you so you can consent, even though you're not really consenting, you're just sort of going along with it. They take that as consenting because that's just how darker beings are. However, they have to keep telling you what they're doing, even if it's discreet in symbolism. But now that people are waking up to symbolism, it is inevitable that people are going to not consent anymore to that stuff. It is inevitable that people are waking up and people are not going to be hosts to these parasites anymore when they realize that that's exactly what's going on. It's inevitable. People are not going to want to participate in this stuff as they have so unwittingly been programmed to participate in and create this whole thing. It's kind of like, this is not the best analogy, but it's an analogy. If you get pulled over for no reason and the cop wants to search your car for no reason, and you just let him, you're opening yourself up to wormholes that you don't need to open yourself up to, because if it's one of those bad cops that's going to try to make money off of you or something, it is actually pretty similar. They will unwittingly manipulate your ignorance, you not understanding that you have a right to not be searched. If you know your rights and you say, I have no reason to be searched, I will not be searched, thank you very much. That ends there. If you know your rights and you say you're sovereign, you proclaim that, you don't consent to a search in your car, the cop has to, by law, respect that. Whereas, if you don't know that, or you don't proclaim that, you don't necessarily consent to a search, but because you didn't know your rights, you're going to get got. It's kind of like that. And it's the same thing with energy. If you don't understand you're sovereign and you just let these weasels get into your brain, they will direct you to do things and open up rabbit holes that you probably would not have wanted to open up upon yourself. That's really what's been going on. So, it's encouraging though. I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm trying to encourage, because when you understand you're sovereign spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, there is so much empowerment in that. And it is the ignorance of that information that has manipulated people. It's all mind games. It all starts in energy and leads into the physical. So don't consent anymore. We do not consent. I do not consent to being owned. I do not consent to being used as a slave. I am sovereign. I create my reality. I experience these higher vibrations that I invoke now. And again, I hope that makes sense. It's not that complex. It's just sometimes hard to explain because it seems abstract still. But I'm sure that many of you know exactly what I'm talking about. We are sovereign, and part of this whole awakening is reclaiming that sovereignty that has been in sleep for so long. We will no longer be hosts to these parasites that want to create perpetual war and fear and hatred. No, that's not what we're about. We're sovereign. We're creating the new world. We're creating a world of beauty and harmony and understanding, a world of abundance. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. It's actually pretty simple when you don't have these parasitic beings taking all your creative energy. It's actually not that crazy to visualize what the new world is going to look like when we get rid of these actively destructive parasites. Is really what it is. So hopefully that's helpful, because when we're talking about, as they have so righteously called it, the invisible enemy, it's like decentralized. It's not just the government. It's not just the deep state. It's not just the celebrities. It's not just these certain bloodlines. It's those, negative thoughts in your head. Those little liars that tell you that you're not good enough, or you're not worthy, or you'll never do this, or, those little demons. I mean, that's what people have called demons. So we got to be aware of that, because if you are sovereign and powerful, they have no authority over you. They can't do anything. They are so weak. Don't think for a second that this energy is that powerful. It's really not, unless you feed it and you allow it to. Because when you start going down that and you start entertaining those demon voices on your shoulder, like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough, I'll never make it, everyone's fucked, I hate everyone, I hate myself. They got you. That's when they got you. And you will find your way out of that rabbit hole, but they can keep you in that rabbit hole for a long time. And, I feel like it's not really necessary anymore. We can know we're sovereign, and we can shut that down right away. And it's not just about shutting down and not consenting to those parasitic energies, but rather you can invoke your whole own consciousness. And what do I mean by that? You can invoke these higher vibrations, not just fighting. It's not just about, trying to fight off these lower ones. You can invoke these states of bliss and love and freedom and gratitude. These are just a few examples. Inspiration, kindness, that's such a higher plane that these lower things can't even mess with that. They can't even understand that. They can't even perceive that. That's why they always lose. Ultimately, they will always lose, because it's just not that powerful. It's really weak. It's just a good parasite. It's a great manipulative parasite. It is good at that, but that's all it's good at. And it's also good at teaching us light beings how to step into our power, because it's a catalyst. All this dark stuff happening ultimately is a catalyst for this higher truth to be known. And it really is like a dance. And so, that being said, it is, I feel, very important to understand that we are all one, ultimately. There is no true force opposing God. There is only these experiences that teach us and bring us closer to God, closer to ourselves. And so, it is a vital component as well. Understanding the dark plan, understanding your sovereignty, no longer consenting to being manipulated, and forgiveness. And, that's sometimes the tricky one. But for you, in your own vitality, in your own sanity, you ultimately have to forgive and let go. And let it be known, and this is really important too, and I've had to learn this several times personally in being in contact with these psychopathic kind of beings. It really doesn't help to hate them. It really doesn't help to fear them. It really doesn't help at all to hold vendettas against them, because that's just how they are. They're often very wounded, and when you hate them, they love it. They love it. They feed off of that, literally. They're parasites. If they can get you to hate them and be in a great raging fit about them, they really kind of like that. That feeds them still. However, when you're in a more neutral place, when you're resonating in a place of strength and wisdom and compassion, that's when you are completely undetectable to them. That's when you are completely, they really can't mess with you at all. They have nothing whereby they can hypnotize you with if you are resonating high enough. And I know it's hard sometimes, and it takes time. I've had a really hard time in forgiving some of this evil energy, and I'm still working on it. But it has been a very important part of my spiritual journey to learn that, because ultimately when you hold on to that stuff, it only hurts you. It doesn't hurt them. And, you can't use these ego excuses like because it's justified. Or you try to twist what I'm saying. I'm not saying that these people shouldn't be held accountable for what they've done. I'm not saying that at all. They will be held accountable. I'm saying to truly hold them accountable in a way that works is to be on a higher level when dealing with them. Because again, it's all energy, and again, I hope that makes sense. I don't think it's too abstract. People want to hold on to this bitterness when it comes to these things, and I understand. It's just that is actually making you less potent when it comes to holding them responsible. Again, these psychopathic beings, they feed off of your energy, whether it's good or bad, they want it. So when you are more neutral and you are strong in yourself, in your truth, still not consenting to the manipulation, still being aware of what's going on, still being aware of the dark plan, still claiming your sovereignty in being aware of what they're going to try to do, because that's what they do. They're relentless. You know what I mean? And again, that's why if you hold on to that anger and that fear about them, they will use that for their own agenda. Still, they are relentless. So it's really not helpful to hold on and harbor these hatreds, no matter how justified they are, because ultimately, they're still using you if you're coming at it with that. It is important to love your enemy, and I want to end on that note. Loving your enemy does not mean consenting to what they want. It's totally different things. And if that doesn't make sense, I would just take time to ponder that, because I've had to live out experiences like that many times, like I was saying, with these psychopathic beings. Not feeding into them, but not taking their shit. There is balance there. There is a divine strength in that. There really is. And it's just an interesting journey in of itself. So hopefully that was helpful. I appreciate all of you listening. There's so much to say. There's so much to ponder. It's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful time to be alive. And we're going to see all of this unfold, because it all must be revealed. We are in the great revealing, the revelations. Whatever you choose to call them, it's what's happening. And it's a blessed journey. We really are. So stay centered, stay in the heart, keep integrating these things, and don't underestimate the work you're doing, because all of us has a role to play in this, even if it's just observing something and transforming it in your own energy. There is a lot of power in that. And we gotta, I feel, start, of course, visualizing the new world, because it's the law of attraction and it's powerful, and that's, we are creators. And also understanding things from a higher level, a more energetic level, because again, everything is energy. So trying to understand everything in only terms of matter, which also most of the things that we have been taught about matter, we have been lied to about. So that's a whole other rabbit hole that we have to understand. A lot of the stuff that, we have to relearn pretty much everything. And it comes from the heart. And we are blessed with that discernment and that channel. We all have it. It's always a good time to tune in. So I think that's really all I wanted to say today, is just talk about some of those ideas and things that I've been pondering on, because it's inevitable that light wins. God always wins. And we are just getting deeper and deeper into the greatest story ever told. So have faith, be brave, be courageous, listen to your heart, encourage people, love people, have respect and compassion for all the people, especially the most traumatized ones right now. They really need it. And don't underestimate the role you are playing, the role in your energy, in your awareness, in your consciousness. That's what I mean by thinking in higher terms. That is so powerful. We are so energetically creative. Just because the Matrix hasn't told you that doesn't mean it's not true. And the Matrix, if you play with it, actually will tell you that indirectly because you're creating it, what you are attracting all the time. So again, thanks for listening to my little rambles, and I'll see you next time.